Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Is it just me, or did anyone else find it weird that we didn't have a big-time game last night? Either Stanley Cup final or an NBA final. I mean, you got baseball, but I just find it weird that the marquee events took a Sunday off. And I know, and some people were pointing out, well, when they change cities, instead of playing every other day, they play every third day. Yeah, the NBA schedule for a long time was Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Avoid Friday and Saturday, which are the low-rated days, and people were out, going to movies, going to dinner, going to a show, going to concerts, whatever. They don't tend to be at home watching games as much. So they went Friday, Monday, and they skipped Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm clear on that. It was very odd not to have some kind of championship type event. I mean, we had, college baseball super regionals, ones that didn't have the bad weather. The SEC continues to roll. West Virginia. How about West Virginia, the Big 12 representing? But aside from that, it just struck me as odd. And, man, talk about adrenaline rushes Friday and Saturday night. That NHL game Saturday night, that was incredible. Stanley Cup Finals, Game 3 in Vegas, 4-0 Vegas. Carolina can't do anything right, and all of a sudden they score 3 times in 39 seconds, and they're back in it. And then they force overtime, and then in overtime, or double overtime, actually. I guess they lose on just the funkiest, off the boards, bounce back, hit the skate, go in. So bizarre. And that is why coaches say, put the puck in front of the net, put the puck in the crease, let something good happen, right? If it stays on your stick out on the boards or, 40 feet from goal, nothing good's going to happen. Try to put something on goal and see if something good happens. And it tends to be deflections in front of the goal, not bouncing it off the boards, but not the first time we've seen that, not the last time. Crazy way for Vegas to go up 2-1, but the margin's just razor thin, so I assume they will continue to trade punches. And the question is, in the NBA Finals, will the Spurs trade punches with the Knicks? Or are the Knicks going to win Game 3 tonight? And that's pretty much all she wrote at that point. Now, you'd think this Knicks winning streak is going to be broken at some point, right? I mean, they're up 2-0 in this series. They swept the conference final with Cleveland. They swept the second round series with Philly, and they won the last 3 games with Atlanta. So it's now 13 in a row in the playoffs, which is an unreal run, just an incredible run. And to make it even more bizarre, that's 13 in a row after they were down 2-1 to the Atlanta Hawks. Make it make sense. It makes no sense. I have 53 wins, tied for the 6th best record in the league. Not that unusual. I think the Nuggets were a 53-win team when they won it. Maybe the Bucks were too. Somebody else was. So that's not unusual. I mean, tied for 6th. It's a little low. You wouldn't usually expect that many teams to have better records. But I think more than ever, it's always been about the playoffs, not the regular season. But with so many people taking so many games off, I think the regular season carrying even less weight than it used to, and it wasn't, a perfect indicator before. But this is it's a crazy run by the Knicks, and it's a mob scene in New York. And part of it's because there's New York, and there's so many people, and there's so much national media there. The echo chamber is just louder than loud. But, man, if a city goes 53 years without winning a championship, they're going to go crazy. Cleveland went nuts when LeBron won it. They'd never won one. Denver had never won one when they won it. The Red Sox and the Cubs had their much longer dry spells. It wasn't never, but it was never in all of our lifetimes. When they brought, and all those stories had a certain element of just bizarre craziness that people just going nuts, I think if Cleveland does it in baseball, I think that's the longest streak there. Imagine if the Jets won a Super Bowl, what New York would be like. Good grief. There are some of and the Jazz are only 1 year shorter than the Knicks in a championship drought. The Knicks won the title the year before the Jazz came in the league. So their streaks are almost identical. The Knicks just a little longer. And it'd be bizarre. But what New York has and nobody else has is that echo chamber. That echo chamber, and it just gets louder and louder. And the president is showing up. Isn't it crazy how winning changes everything? I mean, winning just – the NBA was taking all kinds of hits for politics, and we still see it in our social media posts, whatever our questions are up on Facebook or on Twitter, on X, and we still see people who are just, no, the league went woke and all that. And yeah, well, Trump's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker, and the Knicks are winning, and he's going to a game. He's leaving Florida. See, went there for the tax implications. I can bring that topic up again and get PK all fired up about that. But, man, the pull is just irresistible, man. The pull of a winner. And right now, all of New York City is feeling the pull of a winner. And, man, if they win the first one on the road and blow it, that'll be an epic story. They found a way to get out of Game 2 with a win. And now San Antonio would have to win 4 out of 5. So none of us would expect that. None of us would predict that. Wemby's one of a kind. And Game 2 looked better than Game 1, so who's to say they can't do it in Game 3? I mean, the streak has to end at some point, right? If the Spurs can win Game 3, then that sets up an epic Game 4. You go up 3-1, you're in great shape. You lose and go to 2-2, and the pressure would be intense. So San Antonio just needs to get one to get the ball rolling. We'll see if we can do that tonight. And, I mean, you write all that energy at home, that's great, but, will it help when you shoot all that adrenaline and all that? When the ball goes up, can they just go back to just playing basketball and not worrying about, everything else? But I have been to a game when the Secret Service was there, and there's probably a few BYU fans listening to that who know exactly, right? BYU went to Dayton to play, and the president was there, and there was Secret Service all over Dayton, everywhere, parking lot, just completely swamping the arena. The path we had to take to go from the media room down to our suite, and we were in back with pipes and boilers and walking all over the place, and there was Secret Service every 20 feet staring you down. Just staring you down. That was a memorable night because that was the night they had that big deficit and set that then tournament record coming back to the Cougars came back to win the game. They lost the next one down in Louisville, but that was an unforgettable night, and the Knicks will get a taste of that and a little more because it's happening in New York, not in Dayton, right? So, all right, DJ and PK, we got to take a break here. Coming up, we're going to have more on the NBA with David Locke. And also Todd Phillips, UVU basketball coach. Love having Todd Phillips on. What is college basketball really like and how does it work? And he's interesting, talking NCAA tournament expansion. That's for them, not for us. What do I care? It's still a one bid league. It's basically his take. He'll explain it. He's right. They're going to add 8 bids here. But most of the stuff you see drawn up on average is going to be 5 or 6 to the power leagues. And 2 or 3 will then go to the, I don't even know what we call them, high major, not power leagues. But basically like the Mountain, well, it'll be the Pac-12 now, or maybe the Mountain West, we'll see. The Atlantic 10, that they're not power leagues, but they're pretty far up the food chain. And we'll see if maybe once in a while someone sneaks in from one of the other 20 whatever leagues. Seems unlikely. And then also just recruiting and the lack of rules. Todd Phillips coming up there, and then David Locke on the playoffs. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined once again by Todd Phillips, UVU men's basketball coach. Todd, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Happy to be here.
Todd, where in the world are you calling from? What is the life of a college basketball coach like in June? What continent might you be on trying to find a player or talk to somebody who might know a player who might be interested in coming in another year or two?
Yeah, actually, today's a good day. I'm actually looking at the lake right here. I'm over in Vineyard, just walking around outside, and recruiting's done for the year, so we're preparing for next year. But, yeah, it's been a little crazy the last few months, and so it's good to be done.
Yeah, we saw in the press releases that your University Sports Information released. You got a guy who played in Lithuania and Serbia. How in the heck do you find these guys and get them to come here?
Yeah, obviously, there's a little bit of rarity in whatever you're doing. A lot of it is agents, talking to, our players get agents, and those agents, know how good they've done here. And so they reach out to us, and then we reach out to them looking for guys. And so, I think in today's with the NIL and transfer portal, you're getting bombarded by a ton of agents. So you're kind of sifting through that and the guys you like and the guys you don't. We have a big whiteboard that we use for recruits. And it seems like every new Monday we come in, we wipe that thing off and start anew with new guys, because guys sign, guys, go somewhere else that you were looking at. And so it's crazy how it's changed in the last 5-6 years. It's a lot of speed dating is what it is right now. It's looking at a guy, trying to do your due diligence really quickly, making sure the numbers work, making sure that's kind of what you want, and then trying to make the best decisions.
How much do you get to know the guys when it's speed dating and they're half a world away? How do you know they're coachable and they interact well with people and they're changing cultures and languages? And it seems like a lot of moving parts.
No, it is. It's a ton of moving parts. And how well do you get to know them? I think it's how well you get to know a speed date. You're getting on there and you're trusting a lot of people, right? I think a lot of what ours is return sales, meaning we worked with this agent with this kid. He's like, hey, this kid makes sense for you. And, you got to ask the right questions, which is not easy. It's like, okay, we're seeing what's this talent on film, but how can he translate to be a part of a team? How can he translate to be in a community? Can a city kid come to more like Utah Valley, right? And you have the mountains here and the lakes here, and can you handle that stuff? And so, you got to kind of go through all that stuff and try to make the best decisions possible. I think in our recruiting, if you look at our roster, we kind of check the box of every board. We got freshmen coming in, we got international kids coming in, we got Utah kids coming in, we got transfer portal kids. Kind of checking that box in all those places, trying to build a team, and kind of really like what we've done this year with our roster. And I think what it starts with is trying to keep guys. We have 8 guys returning, which doesn't sound like a ton, but it's actually in basketball today is really good to have that many guys coming back. And so I think that's a great base and a great foundation for us.
A lot of talk these days with what's been going on with college basketball recruiting in terms of recruiting guys, whether they be in the G League or they play overseas professionally. And obviously you've brought in guys from the overseas guys that are listed as playing professionally. What are your thoughts on that in terms of, is it something that we need to take a look at, or a level of comfortability that you have with it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like, when did the rules change? I thought we had rules in place that, you couldn't be a pro, you couldn't play at a certain level, and all of a sudden those all went out the window as you look around college basketball right now, what's going on. And so, kind of waiting for the NCAA to decide that, to have things trickle down, because I think for us, like, none of our guys they're played pro, but they're not at the high-level pros that the NCAA has been talking about. They didn't play in the NBA or the G League. And so those rules need to come into place, and then I think everything will trickle down from there. But when you're looking at kids, you're looking at kids that have played 3 years in pro. Some of the guys we've looked at and recruited is like, oh, they have a lot of experience. They're a little more mature. They're older, which is all good things for us. But now as you start looking at, guys coming back from the NBA, played in the NBA, and now come back, it's like, oh, what are we doing here? And so I think that legislation's got to come through. I'm a fan for cutting that off. And, if you're going and playing full-time pro for 3 or 4 years, that's completely different than a college kid who has to go to class and do all that stuff as well. And so, I'm all for a fan to keeping it in a collegiate level, right, for those guys. And those guys can go play pro somewhere else, and we'll keep the collegiate guys.
But the pressure's on coaches to win. And I have recently heard high-level schools criticized because they have a 26-year-old, and there was all kinds of jokes. Even the return missionary who gray-shirted thinks the guy is old, we can roll through all those. But nonetheless, when you're the coach, you're thinking like, I got to win or I'm getting fired. So give the 26-year-old and let's go win.
No doubt. And so I think the coaches are going to push the envelope of the rules, and we're going to play within those rules. And so, I think it's just the NCAA gets a bad rap, I think, right now a little bit. But, like, they create rules, and then they just get overruled, the courts or whatever. And so something needs to come through that can hopefully we can actually establish rules, and everybody's got to keep them. Because we all remember, 4 or 5 years ago, it's like, if you put your name in the NBA draft, you can't play in college anymore. That was just a consequence. And so kids all pulled their names out at the last minute. They went through the whole process. Now it's like, put your name in. You can go to G League, and you can still go play college. And so, I think that's all got to get fixed with the NCAA, where they can pass rules and they can actually stick with those rules. Because we're all, as coaches, going to push those. Because you said we got to win, and it's win right now, and so we're going to push those rules the best we can. So it'll be really interesting as things shake out, because it's going to affect, if they go into place this year, it's going to affect a lot of schools. Obviously we know what's going on at LSU and all the pros they're bringing in, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Can you describe it as a free-for-all right now, then, with regard to the rules?
Yeah, I mean, it's we call it the Wild West. It's been the Wild West for the last 3 or 4 years, and different guys are playing by a whole different set of rules based on money and those kind of things. I think at our level, at the mid-major level, it's wild, but it's within reason. We just don't got $6 million to go bring a kid in from the top league in the Euro Cup. Just played in the Euro Cup, and now he's going to come play for us. And so kids were recruiting, played a couple of years at probably the lower level of overseas, and so those kids are not going to come in and be, they're going to be really good players, but they're not going to be the best player probably in your league. And so it's kind of, we see it as a far a little bit at this level, but like it's not, we don't deal with it on a daily basis, as far as that. But yeah, everything's got to get under control, and it's just hard because the legislation, whenever it's passed, just gets skirted or around it. People go around it. So I like the 5-year rule that they're looking to pass. I think hopefully those things can stay in place.
The players you're bringing in, came from the Lithuanian Basketball League and the Serbian Basketball League. Can you compare that to Division I conferences or D2 or 3 or JC or what? I mean, what level of competition is that?
Yeah, they're all kind of a little bit different, right? And to say we know exactly is false. I think we have a good feel of those leagues, and a lot of it's like, hey, we look at some of the guys playing in those leagues. Who are they playing against? Who are the Americans they're playing against? Where do they play? And like Modestas is a Lithuanian. He's playing a high level. We got 2 of our top guys playing overseas that play at kind of comparable league. Trey Woodbury and Fardas Emek both play in that comparable league that this kid's in. And so we're like, ooh, he's pretty good. And, talking to agents over there, different kids, like, hey, you like this kid? This kid's younger, and he's probably has more trajectory to be even a better player. And so, we really got on him because we were actually recruiting another international kid, and a couple agents said, hey, this kid can come, and you'd love him, and this is what he does, and he's better. And so kind of some agents we trusted is kind of how we got on him. But, yeah, the league that he played in is a really high league, really high level, and he was a young kid coming up. I think he was MVP the year before in the lower league, and so they moved him up there. And so he was getting some good minutes in a really high-level league. And so that gives us confidence as we watch his tape, say, oh, he's making plays against, grown men.
What is your take on the expansion of the NCAA tournament?
Shoot. To be honest, I kind of just goes in one ear and out the other. I mean, with everything we're dealing with ourselves, I think it'd be great. It gives more opportunity for teams. Does it lessen the impact of like, hey, you're actually playing in those first games? I think once you get there, it doesn't. My biggest thing is I look at it as just bringing more average level high major teams into the tournament. It's like, oh, we missed out on the 10th, 11th, and 12th ranked team in the SEC. Now they're going to get in. I mean, I think it's an advantage when it brings in the mid-major teams who like, hey, had a great season, but they lost in the conference championship or something like that. I know in the Big West, which we're going into 2 years ago, they had two teams with 30-plus wins each, and they played each other in the championship, and one got in, and the other didn't make the tournament. And they had a great season and beat some really good teams, and they were on the outside because, the Big West is a one-bid league. So I think that would help them. I think they would have got in that year. So I'm excited for that. I think that stuff will definitely help, and I think that's what the college fans want to see. They want to see some more Cinderellas. They don't want to see more high major teams just getting in to play each other.
Yeah, and the high major teams are going to say Texas barely squeezed in, and look at the run they went on. And a few years ago, UCLA barely squeezed in, and look at the run they went on. And you are going to get teams in at 16 and 14 who are going to go out in one round. But they're going to sell the other story, and the other story is true. It's obviously only true to a degree.
Right. No doubt. And it's actually exciting to see a team, even a high major team who to go on a run, right? It brings some more excitement to that. So I think that's great. It's, we're just fighting an uphill battle every day to not get squeezed out of college basketball and what's going on. And, to be honest, I look at it, but it's like the last thing, and I can't control any of that stuff. And as mid-major guys, we can't control a lot of that. So it's like just focus on the present and what we're doing with what we have going on. And I think we've really built something great here at Utah Valley, and excited to, push and get to the tournament. That's our next goal. We haven't played in the NCAA tournament, is to get there.
You talk about how your roster's set, right? I think you said that earlier in this conversation. Yeah. But there's some teams that their rosters aren't set and they've got some holes to fill. We're getting late now into the recruiting cycle, so to speak. Are there players, or how many players are still out there that for teams who have a particular hole, whether it's at center or some other position, that they could find someone?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing how many guys are still out there, and you can find guys. It's I'd say like 3 weeks ago we had our board up, and we were looking for a big guy as well. And we were going down this list of guys that, one, we can afford, and two, that we think could be an impact guy for us. And I swear we got down the list like, oh, there's nobody on here. They're not good enough. The guys we're looking at are costing more money, and they're not very good. It's like, what? I mean, there's nobody. And then we come in the next week, we do a little digging, a little searching, and all of a sudden we came up with a really good kid that we found. It's like, dang, he's better than the two kids that we were outbid for. We had a kid we were on, and all of a sudden we thought we could get him. He all of a sudden went to $300,000. Like, okay, we're out. And I think the kid we got for way less than that is better than both of those guys. And it's just kind of you doing your work, keep digging, and kids pop up for all kinds of reasons, whether they decommit from somewhere, they're playing overseas, they haven't talked to guys. We had the Aziz Vandango went to Cincinnati when we beat Cincinnati with Madsen, and we got him super late, and he just was a kid who wouldn't return people's phone calls. He was a kid that a lot of people wanted, and they'd call and talk, and then they couldn't get a hold of him again. And we just kept working the phones with him until finally we got him on the phone. Like, hey, let's get you out on a visit. And he came out and obviously became an all-league guy for us, and was a tremendous 7-foot center that, tons of people like, oh, how'd they get him so late? So there's guys out there. There's still guys out there, and they'll pop with some good players late.
When Utah and BYU got in the Big 12, there was a lot of talks like, hey, they cannot recruit high school kids out of Utah and get them and take the time and get them to play at this level. There's going to be more local kids available for these other schools. But we're seeing more and more foreign kids play, and we've certainly heard this in the world of tennis, but we're in a little bit in basketball. Hey, these foreign kids are squeezing out the local kids. I always go back to coaches are going to do whatever they can to make sure they don't get fired. They got to win, and they all know it. So there's that out there. What are you hearing? How much room do you think there is for local kids and local schools? And how do you see that playing out? What do you think is going to be true, a year or two from now? Because it seems to be changing pretty quickly in some respects.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I hope those guys keep squeezing the Utah kids out, because we'll take them here at Utah Valley for sure. We're making a living and winning a lot of games with good Utah kids. And, I think in the state, if you want to win, you're going to have some Utah kids at all levels, from the Big 12 to the Big West at our level. They're just really good players. Now there's not as many to choose from when the higher level as you go. And so I think it squeezes the bottom out. if that makes sense. Like, if there's 10 kids in Utah that are Division I guys, more international kids, more pros that are actually playing, a considerable amount of time, more pros overseas, you bringing those kids in, that's going to push everybody down. And so more of those kids got to go to junior college and go that route. But, obviously being a junior college coach myself, it's actually nowadays it's a great route. I mean, I think kids sometimes feel let down, but like you go to Salt Lake, say, and play right away as a freshman, you have a better chance of playing as a freshman there than you do to come to Utah Valley or to go to BYU or Utah and play right away as a freshman. So now you have experience, you actually play, and now you're getting recruited from those places to this next level up, And then we tell the same thing to, a 5-star kid out of Utah. You can go to the Big 12 school and you might not play your freshman year. Come to our place, play right away. You're really good for a couple of years. You're gonna leave and go somewhere else. And just how everything is working these days. And I think for us, we got to be really honest with the kids, which we are. And and we tell the kids if you kill it here, our top 3 kids every year are transferring. It's a great place, but the money is just so significant that they got to do it. Obviously, we got the Holcomb kid went to Utah. The Hendricks kid went to Oklahoma, and then our point guard went to Nebraska. And so 2 of those kids are local kids.
Yeah, obviously. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on in-state scheduling? What would you like to see?
Yeah, if you want me to be honest, I can be honest on the radio here.
Yes, please.
We love to play those guys. I'm a Utah homer. I've coached here my whole life. I love BYU. I love Utah. I love Utah State. I know most of those coaches. I'd love to play those guys. Tremendous places, but like for a place like us, we got to be smart. To do like a home and home every year with Utah with no money involved for us is not too smart, right? And when we look at our schedule and we do the analytics for that, because we typically, if we go play a Big 12 team, they're going to play us quite a bit of money to go. And we need, we take guarantee money, which is called guarantee games. We take 3 or 4 guarantee games a year. And when you get those games, for a mid-major, you're like, okay, those are probably losses. If you can beat somebody, that's great, but you're taking those to have experience, and you're taking those to help your program. And so, like, hey, if we went in and had a tournament and played Utah and BYU in a tournament, would be great, but that would probably be money we don't get. And it's like, okay, there's 2 more games that, if we beat them, great, but the odds are we're going to lose. Now we got to go play 2 more teams on top of that to play. So we're really selective when we kind of work that. We'd love to play, Utah or BYU or even Utah State once a year, but for us to play everybody or to play a couple of those teams is not great for us. And the same thing for them, right? They have nothing to gain if they win. And if Utah Valley comes and beats them, our KenPom's 92. So we're a quad 2 team. We're a really good team, but a lot of people in the perception sometimes like, oh, you lost to a Big West team, and so it's hard on everybody's end, but no, we love to do it. We love to schedule those games. We just it's got to work for everybody, and it's hard because we all want to win.
Todd, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for giving up a little time at the edge of the lake to talk to us.
No, I appreciate it. I got my steps in today, and hey, you give me a sec to get a shout out. We have our camp. Our kids camp is the 15th to the 18th in 2 weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you got kids in junior high, elementary, and going into high school, come to Utah Valley Kids Camp. It's going to be a blast.
All right, there's Todd Phillips, and great to have him on as always. We're going to take a break. When we come back, David Locke talking about the Utah Jazz and how things are setting up. The draft is fascinating. David is getting deeper and deeper into it. That is next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Good morning, DJ and PK. David Locke joined us on Friday to talk NBA draft and NBA finals, mostly draft, though. Obviously, he didn't know the Knicks were about to go up 2-0, and we've got Game 3 tonight. But that is not the focus with David Locke. It's more about the Jazz and the future. Here's David. David, good morning.
Good morning, David James, Patrick Kinahan. We're talking. You put the two of them together on top of each other, you would have a 7'6" Victor Wembanyama at level of excellence. That wasn't as good today. Sorry. That wasn't good.
A little sillier. It was fine.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Who's your top three right now? What's your top three?
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah, I know that, but Buddha says not to do that, so don't do that, DK. It's bad. Who's your top three? What's your ranking? You're right now. Your draft board. Patrick Kinahan, AJ DeBonson, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson. What's your top three? Darius Acuff, Mikal Brown. What's your?
I think it's boring. It's what most people would put. And you go top three, you're not necessarily going based on exclusively talent. And there's something that I want to get to you with you about that I heard you speak about. So, yeah, I would go DeBonsa, Peterson, Boozer.
So it's interesting. DJ, what would you do?
Probably that same list, but with the caveat that how do we really know? They get a bunch of medical info on Peterson, and we don't get any of that. And the thought that you could draft somebody who plays sporadically and is in and out and has problems with cramping. The teams I get the info and get to resolve that issue. The rest of us just sit out here and wonder what was going on.
The more and more I hear, the less that seems to be a concern, by the way.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that's going away a little bit.
It does. It seems like it's going away. I don't know why. I assume there's something in the medical info that's making that go away, but I don't know what it is.
Right. I would say this. So I just asked my kind of diehard core listener group, who we have on a private text message thing, and they voted 17 votes for Darren Peterson, 6 for AJ DeBonsa. So I'm not sure I think Jazz fans are. I don't think that list that PK gave is what everyone has. And it's not my top three right now. My top three right now is Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBonsa. But I'm saying, like, if I have 100 little, chips to hand out, I think it's 36, 33, 30 right now. I think this is incredibly we had this a little bit with Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, and Paulo Banchero. We had it in Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, Michael Jordan. We have not had a lot of drafts where these three, where we have this three level of kind of inconclusive who's number one pick.
So let's go with the consensus, and then if the question becomes, okay, the consensus is wrong, where would you expect a surprise? The biggest decision I think that would flip from the consensus would be Peterson and DeBonsa. The next thing I would anticipate, if the consensus is wrong and there's a flip, would be Wilson passing Boozer. What do you think about that?
I think it would be Boozer passing DeBonsa.
DeBonsa, okay.
So
wait, is that one or two? Is that your first one? That's your second one. You think the first one is Peterson passing DeBonsa, but you think the second one is Boozer passing DeBonsa?
Yeah,
okay.
But suddenly the draft was Peterson, Boozer, DeBonsa.
Okay.
So let me ask you guys this. Give me this is where I went today. This is why I suddenly I think both Boozer and DeBonsa to be successful. I mean, overthink. We're at that stage, right? But it's great. I love it. This is so fun. Both Boozer and DeBonsa to be successful, I think, have to have the ball in their hands over 50% of the possessions they play. So I don't think that's the case for Peterson. I do think that both DeBonsa and Boozer need the ball in their hands a lot to be the maximum version of what they are.
Do they have to have the ball? Do they have to have the ball in their hands immediately? Or you were a big fan a couple of years ago of running a pick and roll on one side into a pick and roll on the other. Would they be good in that situation?
Let's go with that. They're the key initiator to the possession. How's that?
Okay. Start the offense.
Fair?
Yeah. So you're saying they have to start the offense 50% of the time.
Yeah. I'm actually more comfortable with Boozer doing that than DeBonsa.
Boozer's super skilled on the ball. He's just getting marked down because he doesn't have elite athleticism. He's super skilled with the ball in his hands. Very impressive.
I'm viewing Boozer right now as Cade. Everyone wants to do Kevin Love, right? That's my comp on Boozer right now. Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
Or let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that a little bit. Not that he's that's necessarily my comp. That might not be the right way to say it. I think let me phrase it a little differently. He is the model by which I think he's going to be most successful in the league. Is that he's Cade Cunningham?
Yeah, because Cade Cunningham's going to be more athletic, right?
I don't know.
Really? Okay.
Cade Cunningham, like the book on Cade Cunningham coming into the draft was that he wasn't athletic enough. And if you go back and look at Cade Cunningham,
He is athletic enough.
Early in his career, he really, really struggled at the rim. And what the change that happened for Cade Cunningham that's made Cade Cunningham so good is that he was able to find a way to get to the rim and to be able to make plays at a much higher level than he did early in his career. I'll try to pull up the numbers while we're talking. But that was the book on Cunningham. He was the number one pick. He was this incredibly effective player. Go look at compare their college numbers. They're almost the same. And, if you just change your mindset and decide that Boozer – so I go back to I watched the final 5 minutes of every single close game that Duke played. In 11 of the final 14 late-game possessions of the season, John Schreier had Cameron Boozer initiate the offense. So I think you have to look at Boozer in that realm. I don't, and then you have to decide you're all right with it, right? I'm not sure that I actually totally love the fact that, like, Cameron Boozer is initiating offense every single time, like most of the time. You got to figure out if you're all right with that.
Well, this sounds like a conversation.
But I think AJ DeBont is initiating your offense every single time, too.
This sounds like a conversation we had with Brunson in Dallas. Well, he's a small guy. Why would you have him initiate the offense when you have Luka Doncic over here? But the Knicks take him. They put the ball in his hands a lot. Now, depending on the coach and the composition of the team, not everybody the exact same amount, but he's probably taking twice as many shots as everybody else on the team. So he's got the ball a lot, and it seems to be working for them. It's just 3 straight 50-win seasons, 2 straight trips to the conference final, and now they got an NBA Finals appearance and maybe a title. We'll see how it plays out. So could it be underestimating somebody here the same way they underestimated Brunson even after he'd been in the league for 4 years?
And what was it that made people not believe in Brunson?
Probably his
why did
height.
Brunson go first? He's like first pick in the second round, right?
Maybe the second or third, but maybe, very early second round. There were 5 NBA draft picks on that team, 4 in that draft, 1 in the next one. They had a ton of talent, but maybe he didn't get credit for the winning because they had so many good players.
And he was supposedly not athletic enough.
Right. Yeah, smaller and not athletic enough. But even after he'd been in the NBA, there were doubts, even when he got away from Villanova and he established himself in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone saw this come, right? Like, I think that's fair. It makes a little more sense that, that series that the Jazz lost, it felt so terrible when Luka was hurt, makes a little more sense right now. Launching kicked the crap out of us. No, I have just had to change how I think of Boozer. And so Peterson, to me, just assimilates into any roster much easier. He can play with the ball, without the ball. He's active off the ball. He's a great shooter, so if the ball's not in his hands, it's fine. Somebody else can be initiating the offense, and then you're swinging it to Peterson, and he's attacking on the backside as an open jump shooter that's got to be closed out on. You don't have to close out on AJ yet. I'm not sure you totally have to close out on Cameron Boozer yet. Like, that three takes a long time to get off still. So that's why I think Cameron Boozer and AJ both have to have the ball in their hands. And I think that that's going to be just an interesting kind of, as time goes on, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It's fascinating. And we've all watched too much at this point, too.
I think you're downgrading AJ because you've seen him and you look at him and you see the faults. And the reality is, of the three players that you keep mentioning, he had the least amount of talent on the team, and he had the most pressure because he went to a school that is not a blue blood and is expected to not go very far. And he felt the weight of all that because it was a different decision. And when he gets to the NBA and he's playing with better players, he'll be better and his shooting percentage will be better in the manner that Yegor Dielman couldn't make a three for his life at BYU and then went to the NBA and got a lot better.
I don't think that's why, but it's a good argument. It was well done. It was very well done. I don't think any of that is actually particularly true, but I was impressed by the filigree. If that, I don't think I'm downgrading AJ at all. Actually, like, I think they're all great. Like, if we end up with AJ Devonta, it's amazing. I think you're gonna have to figure out how you're using him, and he's gonna want the ball in his hands a lot. And it's very clear, and that's how he wants to play and when he needs. And he kind of has to have the ball in his hands because he doesn't shoot it particularly well. And so he doesn't have great spacing. And when he doesn't have if you don't shoot it very well and you don't space the floor yet, then you have to have the ball in your hand. And then defensively, he was terrible. But that's fine. So are most guys.
But you love him.
I think they're like, I really, truly think, like, I've said this about AJ the whole time. Like, his downside to me is that he's R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, or Paulo Banchero. So he's going to score 20 points a game and be an all-star. Like, now, most of those players got traded. One of them, Paulo will get traded, I think, eventually, because you got to max them out. They're hard to play with, and they're tough. So, I do think that's the assumption there is he's credible athlete, great ball skills, plays well in transition, creates offense for himself, never becomes a good shooter. Like, that's his downside. That's the old, like, and I guess in the case of Randall and R.J. Barrett, plays defense sparingly. But it's an incredible NBA body that can't miss. It's kind of the same thing I feel about Cameron Boozer. Like, I think Cameron Boozer's downside is, like, he's going to average 17 points and 10 rebounds a game. Maybe more, because I really think he has the ball. Like, with Boozer's size, the instinct is to go to Alfred Şengün or Domantas Sabonis as your comp. And I just think he's different than those guys. Like, I think he's a ball handler. I really think Cameron Boozer is a ball handler. You're not seeing Domantas Sabonis. You're seeing him play, like, with the ball in his hands, and you're seeing Şengün, but you're not seeing maybe Şengün a little bit. Like, they're bringing the ball up the floor, and they're initiating the offense. I think Cameron Boozer's, like, literally playing offensive point guard. If he's playing 60 possessions a night, I think he's playing offensive point guard for 35 of them. How about a lineup of Boozer, Bailey, Markkanen, Jackson, and Kessler? We're the biggest team in the history of mankind.
Do you think the Wizards are falling in love with Peterson?
Yes. I've said this the whole time. I think we'll decide between AJ Devonta and Cameron Boozer. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, too, right? Like, let's just be perfectly honest. I'm making this crap up in my head. My head's not a place anybody wants to be.
We both believe that.
So, yeah, I mean, you've known me for 30 years. You know this to be true. But, like, so I watched Darren Peters. Like, let's just go back to where we started this conversation. Like, Darren Peterson assimilates perfectly into every roster. Like, his prototype is the easiest thing to build around. He can play on the ball, off the ball, primary side, initiator, secondary side. He's 6'6". He can play 1. He can play 2. He can play 3. He can, like, the only thing is if he got, like, a big 4 backed him down, it's probably not perfect, right? But he's really, like, otherwise, like, this is just, like, it's fabulous. He can shoot it. He can do it all. If he medically tests out, I think he has to go 1. Like, I just can't, like, maybe, I don't know. Like, maybe AJ's better than I'm giving him credit for. But AJ, right now, at least, has to have the ball in his hands. If he's a weak side, if he's on the weak side, you're dropping off of him. You're giving him space. He's playing, he's not a good enough shooter right now that he makes you space out to him. And so you really have to put the ball in his hands and have him play offense. And that's fine because he's really good at it. But it's not, you're now building, until he shoots, you have to build your roster around him as your 6'9" primary ball handler. And we've kind of seen how hard that is, right? New York wasn't very good offensively around Julius Randle. New York traded R.J. Barrett because they had to do it. Orlando's having a hard time doing it around Paulo Banchero right now. That's hard to do. And then if you have Cameron Boozer, I think you have to figure out how you're going to deal with him defensively because he's not going to move great. So he's really not a 5. He's kind of your 4, but he's actually kind of your 1. Like, it's a pretty unique little combo there. So when it gets right down to it, if I'm Washington and I'm trying to figure out how I'm building my roster and when I'm doing these pieces, I just can't imagine you're not taking Darren Peterson 1 if he tests out. Am I crazy?
No, I think he's the most skilled player in the draft.
Or so then I think we're choosing between Cameron Boozer and AJ DeBonta. And I think that is to the point we just had about they're both amazing, but they're both really, they're not the easiest things to build around. I think this gets pretty incredible.
Last thing before we let you go. You've seen one game in the NBA Finals. You think you know what's going to happen now, or are you still wondering?
So my take coming in was that San Antonio's the better team, but they're tired. New York's going to win 2 of the first 3, but out of fatigue. And then the question is whether San Antonio can has enough juice to win 3 of the final 4. New York's really good. The only thing watching game 1 was I'm not as convinced. Like, I started marking up player by player, and New York's better. That, like, if you just kind of look like, would you rather have Mikal Bridges or Keldon Johnson? You'd rather have Mikal Bridges. Would you rather have OG Anunoby or Jalen Brunson or De'Aaron Fox? I'd rather have Jalen Brunson. Would you rather have OG Anunoby or Stephen Castle? I'd probably rather have OG Anunoby. Would I rather have Karl Anthony Towns or Victor? I'd rather have Victor, but wow, Karl Anthony Towns is really good. And so really the reason San Antonio's better is because of Victor. Like, the one and only reason they're better just because Victor's that damn good.
There's David Locke. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.